Alan, you clinched the league title on Friday in Richmond. The full-time scenes, the fans, the players and in the dressing rooms afterwards, it must have meant a lot to you.
Of course, this is what being at Rovers is all about, winning leagues, winning games and winning trophies. It's been a long, difficult season. Obviously it was the fourth in a row, which makes it harder each time that you win it. So we were trying to achieve something that no other club in the country was trying to do. They were trying to win the first, whereas we were trying to win the fourth, which made it much more difficult. So to get over the line in the end was amazing for us, but we always had confidence that we would do it.
It wasn't straightforward. We had a relatively slow start to the season. Did you and the group always believe that you'd be able to come back from that?
Definitely, and you know, people said a lot of things at the start, that we hadn't won a game for whatever amount of games it was, but when you look back, those points ended up being valuable in the end. They were as important as any other point that we picked up. And when you look at the start of the season as well, it wasn't a case of us just not winning games. We were down to 9 men in our first game, I think it was, down to 10 men in our second game, which we ended up drawing. So there was a lot of things that went on that people maybe forget about, and rather than look at them in a negative way, it was actually positive that we ended up getting points out of them games when we had 9 men and 10 men, because that's, come the end of the season, then points become valuable, and not just the points but the performances and what we went through as a team, as a group, going through that difficult period. In terms of having 10 men and 9 men, you learn from that.
You've confirmed you're hanging up the gloves now at the end of this season after 2 successful stints at Rovers. How hard was that decision, and what was the thought process behind that?
It's something that I know I'll regret. No matter when I retired, I know that I'll regret it, but it was always the intention of retiring this year. I was going to do it last year, as you know. Last year went really well for me, and I still felt really good. Last year I felt was probably one of my best seasons at the club, maybe in my career. So I felt like I had to try and do another year. So I'd spoken to the manager, and he was happy for me to stay on. This year it's been a bit more difficult. A lot of other things going on, and obviously I had an injury with my finger, which has affected things quite a lot. The intention was always to retire anyway. I felt it was a good time to do it. And the finger injury, I've been struggling with that quite a bit in training. Trying to get through training has been hard. I've been getting my finger injected before games, which isn't sustainable to do for another year. And regardless, I was going to do it anyway, so that's kind of made it a bit easier. But I'll regret it, I know, and I'll miss a lot of things, but it has to happen at some point, so I think it's right now.
We're speaking now before the Cork game. You've 128 clean sheets in all competitions. That's broken the club clean sheet record set by Alan O'Neill. You've made 285 appearances in all competitions, 6 league titles, an FAI Cup, a Setanta Cup and a President's Cup. It didn't really work out, did it?
No, well, I was talking to someone the other day about this, and you know, I said that I feel fortunate that I was at the club at the time that I have been here. When I joined in 2009, I think it was in a sort of transition period for the club where Michael O'Neill was the manager, and he was sort of bringing in a group of players that he felt could come in and be successful, and I happened to be part of that group. So that was just good timing for me to be involved at the club then. We obviously went on and won the league twice, and the team done really well in Europe. And then coming back again, it was the same, just with the new manager, Stephen Bradley. Sort of maybe a bit of a transition period for the club, bringing in players that he felt, again, could be successful. And again, I was just fortunate to be part of that group. So it's obviously, I've played a small part in it, I hope. But it's been amazing for me to be part of it all.
If I was to push you for a standout moment, what would you say?
Again, I'm fortunate and lucky that there's many that spring to mind. I'd say in my first spell at the club back in 2010, I'll always remember the changing room after our European game when we knew that we were going to play Juventus next. So we were away at that game, and that was the changing room after can be a special place. So I always remember that. The players that were there, the people, staff, coaches, everybody that was there, just the feeling that we knew we were going to play Juventus next. Some people like myself, what chance are you ever going to have in life of playing against a team like that? So that was something special. Winning the league at the end of that year, obviously, as well. We done it in Bray that season. that was the first time the league had been won for a while, I think, for the club. So those two in the first spell. More recently then, probably the Shelbourne game last year, where obviously everyone knows what we've done. We came back and Rory scored that goal at the end, and I was in the top end of the pitch, and I kind of turned around and was celebrating with the fans behind the goal, and I turned around and Leon ran onto the pitch over towards me and took me by surprise. I was, "What are you doing, Leon? You're going to get a yellow card here," or whatever. But I'll always remember that, and that sums up the club, the mentality of the team and the club, and that it's just a case of no matter what happens, we just keep going and going, and that was what it's been all about. So that sums up everything that we've ever done at the club.
Friday night, you get your hands on the league trophy once again in front of the Tallaght faithful. I know they're looking forward to giving you the send-off that you deserve.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult in many ways, but also nice at the same time. I'll have my wife and kids there. They've been there the last game over the last 2 seasons, but now we have a baby with us as well. We're going to have there. So. Freya, and that's going to be nice for us as well to have all of them there for my last game, and it'll be a good send-off for me and a good end of the season for the team. It's obviously not about me, it's about what the club has done over the season, and you know, it's nice to finish the season on a high, being successful, and it can be celebrations rather than just kind of being the last game. So it'll be difficult in many ways, but nice at the same time.
Finally, just a word for Stephen and the wider group. There's a real sense of togetherness amongst them. Can you see them pushing on to try and win 5 in a row next year? Yeah,
I've no doubt that the team will go on and win 5. Again, I've said that I'm going to regret not playing on, and that'll be a huge thing that I'll miss and wish I could have been part of. But I think it would be selfish for me to try and stay and try and be involved whenever I feel I can't probably contribute to the team being successful the way maybe I could do last year. So I'll be still coming down to the game, still keeping an eye on results if I can't get to the game, and I'll be supporting the team and supporting the group. I have no doubt that they'll just get stronger. Me finishing and leaving doesn't make the team any weaker, and they'll be stronger going forward, especially with what we've been through this year. So no doubt in my mind they'll go on and be successful, and I can't wait to see that happen.